Today, we're diving into a high-tech revolution, but in a field you might not immediately think of: dentistry. We're going to look at how things like virtual reality and artificial intelligence are literally rewriting the rules for how we train the next generation of dentists.
I mean, think about it. It's a really fundamental question, right? For decades, the answer was, plastic models and mannequins. But as we're about to see, the classroom is changing. And honestly, it's starting to look a whole lot more like a video game.
Look, traditional dental training, it works, it's effective, but it definitely has its limits. Every school has different resources, which makes it tough to give every single student the exact same hands-on experience. And that creates this gap between practicing in a sterile lab and dealing with the messy, unpredictable reality of a real patient. And that is the exact problem this new wave of technology is trying to solve. Okay, so let's dive right in. The first huge leap forward is coming from what we call immersive technologies. And these aren't just some far-off sci-fi ideas. Nope, these are real tools being plugged into dental schools today. First, let's just get a quick breakdown of what we're talking about. You've got virtual reality, or VR. That's when you put on a headset and you're transported to a completely digital world. Everything you see is computer-generated. Then there is augmented reality, or AR. This keeps you in the real world, but it adds digital layers on top. Think of those filters on your phone's camera. And finally, mixed reality, MR, kind of blends the two, letting you interact with digital holograms like they're actually sitting on the table in front of you. And check this out, when you look at where all the research and development is focused, the data is just, wow, it's not even close. Between 2022 and 2024, a massive 71% of the studies published were all about virtual reality. So it's pretty clear that right now, VR is the star of the show. It's the most developed and widely used tool in the immersive toolbox. And the impact here is incredibly broad. We're not just talking about one or two little procedures. No way. This tech is being used for basically everything, from learning basic anatomy to practicing the most complex surgeries. And the top areas where it's making a splash? Restorative dentistry, so think fillings and crowns, and endodontics, root canals. It's really touching almost every single part of the curriculum. So what does this actually look like for a dental student? Well, imagine this. You have to learn how to prep a tooth for a crown. Instead of grabbing a plastic model, you put on a VR headset. The whole simulation is built from a real patient's digital scan. You pick up this special tool, it's called a haptic device, that gives you physical feedback. So as you drill the virtual tooth, you can actually feel the resistance of the enamel, then the dentin. It's wild. And the best part, the second you're done, the computer gives you an instant, super precise score on your work. You can do it again and again and again, totally risk-free. So these immersive worlds are one thing. But what happens when you make those worlds intelligent? Well, that's the next major leap forward. It is, of course, artificial intelligence, and it's opening up completely new doors for how students can learn and practice. AI is basically the ultimate study partner here. It can act like an expert diagnostician, scanning X-rays and flagging things for students to look at. It can power these virtual patients, which are essentially AI chatbots that students can talk to, practicing how they diagnose and communicate. And of course, it's an amazing study aid. A student can just ask something like ChatGPT to explain a complex topic in simple terms. They're even gamifying the learning process with AI programs that turn things like designing dentures into a fun challenge. Okay, so all of this sounds incredible, right? It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this technology actually living up to all the hype? Does a student trained in VR actually become a better dentist? Well, the research gives us a really nuanced answer. So here's the crucial point. Students absolutely love this stuff. They say they feel way more engaged and way more confident after using these tools. But when you look at their objective performance, the data shows that these technologies are powerful supplements, not complete replacements for that traditional hands-on training. And here's the breakdown of why. On the one hand, VR and AI are fantastic for visualizing complex 3D anatomy, for getting in that endless, risk-free practice, and for making sure everyone gets the same standardized training. But on the other hand, they still fall short in some really key areas. That haptic feedback, the sense of touch, it isn't perfectly realistic just yet. And simulating things like a fulcrum, when a dentist braces their hand to get a super stable, precise movement, that is incredibly difficult to do in a virtual space. Not to mention other critical details, like the feel of soft tissues or the constant water spray during drilling, they just aren't quite there yet.
In fact, when researchers put these technologies into a direct competition, sometimes the old school methods still come out on top. One study on local anesthesia training found that the students who practiced on good old plastic mannequins actually had better outcomes than the group that trained only in VR. So that just goes to show you, while the tech is super promising, it's still got a ways to go.
So, where does that leave us? What does the future actually hold? Well, it turns out it's not a battle between old school and new school, or between VR and AI. Instead, the research points to a much more exciting direction: convergence. The big idea here isn't to pick a winner. It's not VR versus mannequins or AI versus textbooks. No, the real power isn't in choosing one. It's about blending them all together. The goal is to create one single, holistic learning experience that combines the best of all worlds: the immersive environment of VR, the smart feedback of AI, and that irreplaceable tactile skill you get from traditional methods. And this all comes together in a concept that researchers are starting to call a metaverse for dental education. Just imagine a fully immersive simulation that provides rich, realistic sensory feedback, all while being guided by an intelligent AI coach. It's about creating a complete clinical experience before a student ever sits down with a real patient. So, the big question, will your next dentist be trained by an AI in the metaverse? The answer probably isn't a simple yes or no. But it seems almost certain that they will have been guided, tested, and sharpened by these incredible new tools, creating a whole new standard of care for all of us.